for today is Red Dead Revolver. Originally planned as a Gun-and-Smoke successor by Capcom, Red Dead Revolver ended up falling into Rockstar Games' hands after some development problems. It was released in 2004 for the PS2 and Xbox, and although not very acclaimed in its day, it ended up leading to the Red Dead Redemption series that most people are familiar with. Let's see how Rockstar's first entry into the Wild West panned out. The graphics are pretty good for its time, and it has a color palette and effects that really make you feel like you're part of a Wild West flick. The music is similarly appropriate for the setting and can be quite memorable in some cases, no surprise considering some of it was originally from old Wild West movies. Sound effects are what you would expect in a shooter, serviceable yet hardly memorable. Finally, the voice acting is okay at best, but hardly terrible. The story is a simple revenge one that ends up leading to bigger things, that is interesting enough, but is mostly just an excuse to lead you through the action. It just doesn't develop things enough for things to really become memorable. The same happens with characters. You are presented with a good number of them, but they are not really developed and their stories are for the most part rushed in order to jump to something different. In general, the game tries to do too many things story-wise, but ends up not delivering in most of them. If you want to learn a little more about the characters and setting, read through the journal entries in the main menu, since there are some things explained there that should have been shown in the game and make things a lot clearer. A third-person shooter with some cover mechanics is the best way to describe this game. It does its job well for the most part, but the control and aiming can feel a bit clunky sometimes, especially during the duels, which are pretty cool in idea, but can be a bit annoying due to this clunkiness, since dying in them can often lead to replaying whole sections of the game. This leads into the difficulty of the game, which is for the most part fun, but some parts seem a bit unbalanced due to a lack of checkpoints in difficult areas and an overabundance of them in easier ones. It's funny how some mid-game areas can be harder than some of the later ones. The levels themselves are pretty straightforward, even in the more open levels where they bother giving you a map, which is by the way pretty useless, since they don't even give you a quick access button to it and you have to pause the game and choose the option to see it, making it more of a pain than what it's worth. The game in general is action focused and works well like that. These more open levels and a certain attempt at a stealth one are actually the low points of the game. You also get to play with 5 different characters through the 27 missions that make the game, but they feel pretty much the same except for their special power. For example, the main one can freeze time to shoot a lot of enemies, another shoots a fire arrow, while another shoots a more powerful shoot that blows enemies away. Sadly, you only get the chance to play with these other characters like once, which makes them nothing else than a distraction from the main character missions. A good game that is for the most part fun, but that lacks the refinement and work to be something great. Still a great effort from Rockstar for a game that originally had as many development problems as this one had. I can recommend it to people that like things related to the Wild West, since it's great when it comes to the setting, but that don't mind things being a little rough around the edges. If you are the nitpicky type though, stay away from this one and go back to the Redemption titles, since they were called that way for a reason. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment and subscribe. You can expect games from a variety of genres in the future. See you next time.